Well, as a new series prepares to hit the channel in just 2 days' time ahead of the EFL season, we are back today with one of my favourite little episodes. We're going 5 years in the future at the end of our head coach save, and we're going to see what the big headline news is in the footballing world, as well as the fate of our former clubs. Yes, hello and welcome along to the 149th and final part of this FM23 Head Coach story with me, Daniel. We are back 5 years after resigning from our final job of our career, and today we're going to have a look at the footballing world. We're going to see how it compares to when we left it, and of course we'll keep an eye on all of our former clubs as well and see how they've been getting on since this save finished. Due to the time our career finished, it is a chance now to look 23 years in the future in this head coach save. So let's go and get into it. If you're looking forward to it, please do put a thumbs up on the video. We'll see if the headline news compares well to last year. And of course, we'll see if any of those clubs have pushed on without us or if some of them have gone backwards. The big thing I want to see is what happened to Dortmund. Did they keep that younger side that was promising to become brilliant? First though, one of the things I always like to do is to go and have a look at our manager profile, because with 5 years without a job, we've not lost our reputation this time. Interestingly, no job interview offers at all, but importantly, a Continental A licence, still a big reputation, not much has changed or dropped off, which has happened on previous occasions. So we're going to run through our clubs, and then we're going to go and have a look at all of the English pyramids, Scotland, the European trophies, international, etc. So let's start from my job history and go through all of the teams again, because we saw where they were 5 years ago in the previous episode at the end of the save. And now, after skipping through 5 more, what has happened? Because Welsh football was on the up with Airbus UK, and at the moment, they appear to have finished in 8th place and not really made any progress at all. He did have a good goal scorer with 14 in the league, but a finisher who can't score to save his life. And if you look over at the competition reputation there, the Welsh League does appear to have stagnated a little bit. Up there with Moldova, not probably where it wants to be. So not the best start for Airbus. We're just going to gloss over these quickly. Peterborough Sports are still not back in the playable leagues, and I can't lie, after the way they treated us, I'm not too upset about that. The third job of the career was Maidenhead. They are doing okay in the National League, so they obviously went back up again. We go and have a look at their general. Oh, okay, they've been floating between the divisions, but this year they went up and stayed up after 2 titles in the National League South in a space of 3 seasons. A good little club. I've got no problem with them. Well done for them for staying up this year. Bromley, of course, still had an original when we were there last time. Won't be the case 5 years on. He was already 32 or 33 there. But they are third in the National League and still looking a pretty decent club. Ipswich Town, Championship, mid-table. Nothing has really changed. Josh Benson is their manager now. Have they got any originals left still? Because some of theirs were still late 20s, maybe early 30s. No, 5 years later, they have all moved on. And then going on to our big Premier League job, we had Crystal Palace first. Chris Lewis is the captain. He is still going there at 34. Over 100 goals for England, my word. But he is starting to lose his pace just a little bit. What a player he's become though. 20 Premier League goals and started every single game in the Premier Division this year. That is a staggering effort at 34. Have they got any of the other boys in there? Oh, they still have, you know. Gordon Ward is still in there at 33. Eric Nelson still in there at 32. Rodolfo still in there at 33. I thought they would have moved some of these on now. Rodolfo was getting linked with other clubs when we were in charge, let alone now. How many years ago was that? What an effort. There's a bit of a surprise for you. They finished 9th again, which I guess is disappointing with a 20-goal striker, but still a cracking effort, and they've kept an England international there his whole career, which seems unlikely if I'm being fair. Manchester United, they finished 3rd, 4th and 2nd under us, back up to 3rd under Lloyd Kelly's management now, but they must have an aging team because a lot of those players are still there. Lucas Steinlein was one of the last signings when we were at the club. Kieran Jones into his 30s, the goalkeeper, much the same. Heavier is still there, probably a superstar now at 28. Sol Julian has become a very good player, deserves credit. I didn't think he'd make it. Jonah Hodgkinson retiring this year at 36, he's gone strong for them. Charlie Humphreys is still at the club. Fabian Hellman, who went from Dortmund just after we joined them. He's going now in his mid-20s. And then they've also got Emir Baysal at 34, Marco Demeter at 34, who again had several opportunities to leave when we were in charge. There's a lot of originals still going there, and they've not really got their resale value, which does seem a little bit odd for them, but does look like they've improved a little. Have they gone any higher? Oh, maybe not. Look, we left here. I just want to show you how good a job we did, because I took a little bit of criticism during the United stint and since that, oh, you end up at these top clubs and what's going to happen. But I tried to keep reiterating it. United were not a top club when we joined. They'd finished 8th, 7th and 14th the 3 years prior. Despite the nonsense with John Murtow, I'll check if he's still employed in a minute, we finished 3rd, 4th and 2nd. And then since we've gone, they've finished 7th 4 times, 11th once, and they've just finished 3rd this year. For the first time, they're in the top 6 since we left. We did a brilliant job at that club. Their top goal scorer is, at last, a brilliant player. The 26-year-old they've signed from Celtic had been at Luton and was superb there. That is a very good footballer. And have they won any more competitions? I guess that's going to be the big question. Oh, they won a Champions League in the middle. How have they got in the Champions League? They must have won the Europa then. Yeah, so they won the Europa League. They then got into the Champions League and won it as Europa League winners, having finished 7th in the league. That is remarkable. They've won another FA Cup, a runner-up in the Carabao Cup once more, and a couple of runner-up medals in the Super League. So they've not won any more trophies since we've been there in terms of number, but they have won a couple of the big ones, and the Champions League, of course, is a massive achievement. So well done there for Manchester United. Did we check John Murtow? Is he still there causing trouble? Bet he is. Oh, Alan Campbell. That's why it's gone right now. Alan Campbell, the former Luton man, is head of youth development. No wonder it started going right at United. Of course it's Alan Campbell. And of course, look, John Murtow's left. So there's finally a bit of peace for Lloyd Kelly. Jack Fisher is in and is a much better person on paper. Darren Fletcher is still remaining at the club. But John Murtow gone and Alan Campbell in. You can't ask for a bigger upgrade than that. Let's go and have a look at Dortmund quickly, because this is the one I want to know the most. They're 7th in the Bundesliga. What? How have they finished 7th? They didn't win it after we left. What's gone on here? Oh, don't tell me they've gone on a fire sale. Don't tell me they've let a lot of them go. Where have they been finishing the last few years? So we won the league. They then finished 5th, 4th, 7th, 6th and 7th. Oh my words. They've got worse than they were ever in this save since we've left the club. We left them with a brilliant team that was coming towards its peak. We just won the title. How has it gone so wrong? I mean, even if they've replaced a fair few, I can see that Sniber and Joaquin are still there. Joaquin's about to leave the club, but what else have they got? Contreras is a centre-half who we had at United. He's a very good player. Van der Plume is still going. Sniber's still going. Koomson's still there. They've also got Felipe, who was signed at United too, but they've got less players than United have, despite an extra year since we were there. I don't understand how they've let the whole team go. I guess the big question is how quickly did they go? Because we won the league in that season. What happened the year after? Start of the summer, couple of reserve players there, or backup players. Did they sell any big stars? Not in that first window, apart from Nelson Gator, who was a backup centre-half. Oli Zola was a squad player. I guess a few have gone out on loan. If you look at Mugnai on loan. Why are they loaning players to Real Madrid, Villarreal, Porto? They've loaned out 3 or 4 of their first team players. It doesn't make sense. Going further down, January they lost Merville and Santos, but still probably not much of that first 11 there. And they spent 185 million. Some of them must have been good. The second season, again, only backup players. Where is the first superstar who was sold? Because I can't work out why they've struggled so much. There it is. And Jesus, look at that fee. Tottenham Hotspur paid 219 million. 219 for Giovanni Mulder. I mean, he's not that good a player, to be fair to him. And he's only a bit part player for them now. But that is ridiculous in terms of a price. I can see why they couldn't reject that. 140 million. What are Spurs doing? The year after, Brewerton, 140 million to Spurs. And then what about the years after that? Has it gone a bit quieter? It probably has. A few players have obviously left the club. The biggest ones, yeah, 15, 20 million. Well, I think as we've got through our former clubs there, I think we need to start with the Premier League, because I need to know what on earth has happened at Tottenham Hotspur. Let's go and get through it. They've not won a league title. They finished 5th this season. Chelsea were the past winners this year. It had been City every year prior. And of course, they were the dominant force while we were there at United. Chelsea win it by 10 points this season. Christian Spassov has moved from City to Chelsea and is still one of the best players in world football. Brighton, Villa and Brentford down. Bournemouth still competing up the top. Palace just missing out on Europe. I mean, it's staggering, really. I want to know what else Spurs have spent on. Is that just happened to be their big signing each time, or are they going nuts? Well, they've spent, 175 million that year. The year before, 124. The year prior, 244. In addition to getting Brewerton for 140, the summer before they got Jefferson for 60 million from United. That would have been the same summer. They paid 219 million for Mulder and got Jabari Roberts from PSG, who at the time would have been a former England international. Where's the money come from? Year before that, they made a bit of a profit, but not enough for 240 million. And they'd spent it a year prior as well, so very big surprises at Spurs, but no other real shocks in the Premier League, other than City's dominance is finally over, and Chelsea win their first one in 17 years. Let's go down to the Championship, where my club, Luton, still better be in there. Don't you send them lower. 7th place in the Championship, that's fine. Fairly usual suspects. Swindon and Doncaster down, both in League 2 real life. In the middle of the table, just making sure I haven't missed anyone. No one more than a division out apart from that, I don't think. Into League 1. Wimbledon lose to Tranmere in the final. They'll be going up to the Championship. They go with Lincoln and Wigan. Halifax were in League 1 at the bottom there, as were Barnet. Wrexham are still in League 1. Swansea QPR down a division. Southend back in League 1. Chesterfield up in the League 1 playoffs as well. Look at that title race. 3 teams separated by 3 on goal difference with the same number of points. That is unfortunate for Chesterfield. And then 6th place goes up in the playoffs. Typical. Let's look at League 2. We have got Boston United up 3 divisions to League 1. Woking going up as well. We did that in a stream save earlier this year. Dulwich Hamlet in the Football League. Weymouth in there and in the playoffs. Blackpool from the Championship to League 2. Bolton struggling in League 2. Always seems to happen in FM. And Birmingham, again, same as FM22. Right down at the bottom of the Football League. Let's go down to the National League and see what's going on there. South Shields are coming up to the Football League. West Brom. Holy hell. West Brom are the National League winners. What has gone on there? Have they just been down a year? Have they had struggles? What's going on? Seem to have pretty poor facilities, but they're still at the Hawthorns. 2 relegations in succession. So they'd been stagnating in League 1 for a while. Then they came down back to back. They were predicted 3rd, which they finished last year. So 2nd time of asking at the National League. Their star player is not a National League player. And their captain is not really a National League player. But I'm not quite sure how it's gone that wrong for West Brom that quickly. That is a big surprise. I don't think there's going to be any more headline news than that. Port Vale down from League 1. Northampton down. MK Dons Morecambe struggling. Gillingham down to the National League South. Harrogate down to the National League North. Couple of surprises there. Let's go to those regional divisions. There's not going to be a bigger shock than West Brom. Rochdale down 3 divisions, but they're back up now. Anything else in there? Not that I can see. And then in the South, what have we got? Wickham. Oh, there's a big one. Wickham in the National League South, but again, they have won promotion this time. There are a few teams that have had a big drop through the footballing pyramid and a couple that have had a big rise as well. But yeah, I think Wickham and probably West Brom still the limelight in terms of shocks there. Let's go and get through the cup competitions. The FA Cup the last 5 years. We saw United won it last time. Bournemouth, another major trophy for them. The Carabao Cup, Southampton winning 2 out of 5. Norwich getting themselves on 1 as well. Not worried about the Community Shield. EFL Trophy, no big surprises. And then the FA Trophy, Chippenham Town beating Yeovil at Wembley this year. Let's head over to Scotland, see if that one's any calmer, because Rangers have, well, they broke the dominance, didn't they, last time, but they've lost 5 in a row since. They're now 4th, and the Scottish coefficient is dropping big time, probably lower than it's ever been in real life in recent years. And now Arbroath, top half of the Scottish Prem. Sorry, I got distracted by that. But it looks like Hibs are the best of the rest consistently. Can we go back to the previous seasons, just see who's been finishing there? So if we go back to last year and the league table, Rangers Arbroath were 3rd. That was only goal difference, that title. Okay, so maybe it was just one poor year from Rangers. Because Hibs in 2nd, Arbroath have been a bit all over the place, but they're a mid-table Scottish Prem team. They'll take that. Scottish Championship. Any surprises in here? St Mirren win it. Kilmarnock in the middle. Partick going down to League One. In Scottish League One, Montrose win the relegation playoff. Hamilton are champions. They're going back up to the champ. Dunfermline in the middle of that division. Brechin from FM21. The Pat Nevin effect is back. Four Martina up there as well. Fair play to them. And then in League 2, we have got Stirling going back up to League 1. And Inverary Locos at the bottom of the table. So a few new teams in there actually. It's interesting to see a few coming up. The Scottish Cup has been, well, it was Rangers this year. What about recent seasons? We have got 2 for Rangers, 3 for Rangers, 1 for Celtic, 1 for Ross County. So good to see that there's a bit more of a spread of the trophies. And the same again in the League Cup, which has been moved about a bit. The SPFL, my favourite trophy. Got a very Northern Irish feel at the moment. 2 of the last 4 with Linfield and Glentoran. They're both doing an excellent job, as I presume. If we go over to Wales, TNS are still dominant. Cardiff Met Uni 1-1. Somebody else won the title. You've got to give them some credit at last. TNS, though, 8 points this year. It's very much back to the status quo since. Northern Ireland was the other one we were going to look at. Let's go and back to Linfield. Who has been winning it? Glentoran are still the dominant force. The league is dropping off again, but Glentoran, very much the team. Doug viewing the European qualifiers as well. The playoff places, that is. That's pretty remarkable. But Glentoran dominating the football over there. And Dungannon up at the top end as well. Very different to how it looks in our Build a Nation save. They've got some players on pretty big money at this point. And ones who are wanted by clubs across Europe. And pretty good. I would argue in our Build a Nation, that's as good as any goalkeeper we've had. So definitely Glentoran making progress. Maybe not so much in Europe. But let's have a look at those European competitions to finish, as well as the international ones. I'm surprised. It feels like we're getting more surprises this time than we've had previously. Let's see if that stays the case in Europe. Well, not really, is the simple answer. And we see how much of a missed opportunity it was with Borussia Dortmund against Inter, because City have won 3 out of 5 since. Bayern have got one as well. And obviously that shock one for Manchester United. But definitely no real surprises there. The Europa League, we have got Dortmund losing the final this year. Lyon, Bournemouth again. Bournemouth become a great side in the Football Manager this year. Arsenal, Bayer Leverkusen and United. In the Europa Conference League, we have got very German feel. 2 for Leipzig, 1 for Stuttgart. And in Norwich and Spurs, who obviously spent 250 million to win a Conference League. Let's go to the Super Cup. It is largely the English team winning it. No big surprises there. So let's finish with the international tournaments. We'll do the World Cup and the Euros, the one that we won with England. Well, hello. What about this? The greatest sporting comeback you'll see. Ukraine have won the World Cup in 2042. England won it in 38, the tournament after we left, with a very good side, but not quite sure how this has come about. Because when we were managing England, with the greatest of respect to them, they were a pretty shoddy side. They have now got a team of world-class players. They've got a centre-half at Dortmund. They've got a striker at Gladbach who's one of the best in the world. He was just coming through as we left. They've got a centre-half at Real Madrid who's brilliant. They've got a Chelsea holding midfielder who's brilliant. They've got a Chelsea right-back who's brilliant. I think we might be starting to see why. And one of the best keepers in the world. And they're all of a pretty good age. So maybe that explains why not a lot was happening. Of course, Kostenko's there as the backup keeper, who we were managing at Dortmund. But you can see a lot of them now, 27, 28 years of age, about half the squad. So they would have all been just coming through as we left England 7 years ago. So the last generation of players wasn't great, but they have produced a world-class one now. And surprise, surprise, Ukraine have won the World Cup in 2042. Let's go and have a look at the European Championship, see if England have done any better in that one. In 2044, they lost in the quarter-final. 2040 was Portugal's year, 2044 was France, and England obviously won 3 of the 4 before it. We won that one in 2036. And then the Nations League, if we get that up here, semi-finals this year will be Italy, Spain, England, Serbia. But prior to that, 2 in a row for France, followed by Italy and Portugal. Chris Lewis, still one of the top scorers in that competition. What a surprising look that was. I think we saw a few more surprises than we were expecting. Certainly I was. You can let me know if you agree or disagree. What was your biggest surprise of the lot? Because there's definitely a few things that are eye-opening, to say the least. Borussia Dortmund dropping off like a stone. A couple of clubs like West Brom in non-league definitely looks an eye-opener. And even in Ligue 1, we didn't see that real progression that we were perhaps expecting after the financial gain. So definitely a few talking points, a very interesting one. Let me know down in the comments if you want me to leave this safe for you to do, because I'm happy to do so if you wish. But what do you think the biggest surprise was? What did you think of the career? Next year, I will do a head coach at some point, but it is going to be with a little twist, so keep your eyes peeled for that. In the meantime, though, where this series finishes, there is a void now to be filled, and we will be back on Thursday with a brand new series in this slot. It's a little bit inspired ahead of the new EFL season by the return of the Football League, and there is a little bit of a Luton flavour to it, even though I'm not managing Luton. If you're looking forward to that one and you did enjoy this look back, please do add a thumbs up to the video. If you want to stay up to date with the channel, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. On the subject of the EFL, the podcast will be back with the first weekend of championship predictions this week. You can find all the season ones up in the eye above. There's also the Twitch channel for regular live streams, particularly with F1 Manager just being released. And of course, anything else you can't find up there, we've got plenty of other playlists, and the other stuff is all in the description below. Thank you very much for your support with this save. It's been another epic head coach journey, a first one ever that we haven't been sacked on the channel, albeit one club let a contract run down. Does that virtually count as a sacking? Let me know your thoughts on that. And we'll be back for the FM24 edition in a couple of months' time.